Welcome to Maximizing Firm Insights Reporting in Clio Grow. This is the intermediate session, so this is more for law firms who are just getting started with reporting and want to understand the basics around what Grow offers. If you are already using reporting in Clio Grow and you're wanting to understand more how to use reporting to optimize your firm growth and your marketing, we have our advanced session happening right next door, and feel free to pop by that one as well. Before we get started, I wanted to give a few thank yous to our unicorn, visionary, and innovator partners. ClioCon wouldn't be possible without them. My name is Alice, and I am a senior product manager at Clio Grow. My focus has been on marketing communications and more recently launching email marketing in Grow to help law firms maintain and build relationships with their network. Very excited about that, and I'll share a bit more about it later in this presentation. So, to get started, I'd actually like to ask a few questions for us to spend a moment and reflect on. The first question I'd like us to think about is, where does your firm's revenue come from? As in, do you know what your sources of business are? My follow-up question to that is, out of these sources of revenue, which are the most effective for your practice? If you didn't know these questions by heart, not to worry, because you're not alone. Today, we see that 87% of law firms want to grow their practice. And 35 of these firms are in fact spending more time and more money on marketing than last year. But despite this interest, 2/3 of law firms have little or no tracking of their marketing effectiveness today. These firms recognize the need to grow their practice, and they're spending time and money trying to do so, but if you don't have the right reporting, how do you know it's working? What it comes down to is that you can't grow what you can't see. Good reporting is what will turn guesswork into actual growth. So, what are the specific benefits to reporting on firm growth? Well, number one, seeing your return on investment can help you make smarter time and budget decisions. Number two, understanding which sources work for you can help you attract better fit work. And number three, having a clear picture on your growth can help you plan with confidence. Over the next 25 minutes, we'll be going over the foundations to reporting on business growth. We'll start with an understanding of where your business comes from and how that differs by practice area. Next, we'll take a look at reporting in Grow itself, some of the basic reports you can set up, and importantly, what questions these reports can help you answer. And lastly, we'll wrap up with some key takeaways to leave with as you finish your first or second or whatever ClioCon. All right. Before doing any marketing or any reporting even, it's important to understand where your business comes from. To do this, let's take a look at the legal client journey. Some of you might be familiar with this already, but the legal client journey is the process by which a potential client comes across your firm. The very first stages are awareness, research, and consult, where they're evaluating your firm and their need, potentially against other firms. The decision step is when they decide to work with you and they become a hired client. Next is during the casework, maybe weeks, months, years, as you all know very well, and typically that concludes with billing and payment. Once the case is closed, this client will likely become a former client. You'll part ways. They may leave you a review, or you might ask them for a referral. But for some clients, these clients are not parting ways with your firm forever, and they might come back, and that's the retention step. Here you can see an arrow going from retention back to decision, and this demonstrates that for some clients, the relationship with your firm might last multiple matters, and they might come back for repeat business. So along the client lifecycle, there are three main places that have to do with where your business comes from. I'm going to introduce a couple of new concepts here, and it might be a lot, but we'll be revisiting these throughout the rest of our session. First, you have acquisition of brand new clients. Law firms that generate a lot of business from lead gen or acquisition might be doing marketing such as digital ads, search engine optimization. And the metrics you might look at are leads generated, leads qualified, or return on ad spend. If acquisition isn't really your thing, you might be focused more on retention. And that's what we talked about before, which is past clients coming back for additional business. To improve retention, you might want to maintain good relationships with your clients over time, stay top of mind through email campaigns or by reaching out to them from time to time. And the metrics you're looking at are repeat matter rate or client lifetime value. The last one here is one we probably all know very well, and that is referral. Referrals might come from past clients or professional connections in the industry. The way to improve your referral would be things like client testimonials or community or industry events. And the metrics you'd be looking at would be new matters from referrals or percent of past clients giving a referral. So a while back, Clio ran a study where we asked law firms of all different practice areas where their source of business came from and the breakdown between these different sources. So between acquisition, retention, client referral, and professional referral, this is the breakdown by practice area. I'm going to pause on this for a bit, so feel free to see if your own practice area matches up with this. Take a picture if you'd like. For most practice areas, you can see that brand new clients was their biggest source of business. But I think the most interesting thing for me was to see that there's no practice area that only survives off of one of these. There's a relatively even balance, and even the sources that don't account for a lot of your business can make a difference between like 15% additional revenue or 20% additional clients and whatnot. And what that means is that as a law firm, it's important to stay on top of all of these and understanding the revenue that you are generating, how you're performing, and how you can continue growing. Now that we know the different sources of business and how they differ by practice areas, let's get into Clio Grow itself and how to use Grow to measure that growth. We'll go over each of the three ways to grow your business: acquisition, retention, referral. For each of them, we'll take a look at the types of data you should be collecting in Grow, the types of reports that this data can get you, and the types of questions and answers that you can get from each of these reports. Starting with new client acquisition. If you have your computers out and you're logged into Grow, feel free to follow along because we will be giving a few walkthroughs of how to build a report. So for client acquisition, before setting up any reports, as with all of our reports, there's a few data fields that it'd be good to get into the practice of collecting data for. These three data fields are contact lead source, matter lead source, and estimated value on matters. First one, contact lead source. This is really the core building block of any reporting, not even acquisition, retention, referral. It's the way to understand how a contact heard about you. You might have a question during intake: how did you hear about us? The way that you can track this in Grow is you can set up lead sources based off of all the channels that someone might hear about you. So this firm has referral, website, Yelp, spring campaign, all these different ways. The next one here is a bit of a new release for Grow. So for those of us using Grow for a while, this might be new. And this is matter lead sources. This is useful to understand not just how a contact or lead first heard about you, but all the different marketing touches you might have made to the contact throughout. For example, in this case, this lead, Chris Rogers, heard of the firm through the website, so that is their first source, but they were recently maybe part of our, April newsletter, right? And April newsletter targeted Chris, and this newsletter might have included things like client testimonials or a record of success of the firm that ultimately convinced Chris to work with this law firm. Now you can track both of these sources on the marketing section of the Matter page. It's important to track multiple sources because, especially if you're interested in growth and you're doing all these things, you want to understand which of your methods are actually working and influenced potential clients. The last piece here is estimated value. This is also a good field to get into the habit of filling in and grow, and estimated value lets you put a dollar tag to your pipeline long before you're actually generating bills or seeing the revenue come through, helps you predict the revenue potential of everyone currently in your pipeline. Now that we've gone through all the fields, let's set up our first report, which is the lead source revenue report. This report shows you all of the different lead sources you had in Grow, so the ones that we previously talked about: website, Yelp, referral, Spring campaign. The cool thing about this report is that once a client hires you and you move them over to manage, you start adding bills to their matter, this report will automatically be updated to actually track how much revenue was actually generated. So you're no longer looking at predictions, but you're actually looking at how much revenue your firm made. To set up this report, you start with reporting in Clio Grow, so reporting in the sidebar, and then you could click on lead source report. You can configure this report to only look at matters created in the past 7 days or past year, past 2 years. You can specify whether you're looking for a specific lead source, maybe a certain type of matter. Let's say you only want to look at your divorce matters, right? You can filter by that as well. Finally, at the very bottom, you click on View Report to generate. And this is what you get. What this shows you, and there's a lot of data here, but each of these rows is one of your lead sources. You can see how many matters are in intake, how many have been hired, your conversion rate, how much revenue you've generated. And you can see the full picture between your marketing all the way to your outcomes. So, great, we've built a report. But what can we actually learn about this report? Let's put our learnings into practice and see what insights the lead source report can provide. So going back to the previous report we generated, the first thing that sticks out to me here is that I've filtered it to this past year, so I think September 2024 to September 2025. At the very bottom, I can see how many matters in total have passed through intake, how many have been hired, my conversion rate, so what % of those leads I've won or I've hired, revenue generated, and I can even see spend if I've spent marketing money through Clio Grow through local services ads. If I've been operating for multiple years, I can compare this year back with previous years and gradually get a picture of whether or not I'm growing at a faster rate than previous years. I can also look at which lead sources are doing the best. So in this case, 19 leads came to me through my website, 8 of them hired me, and that generated $24,000 in revenue. Lastly, if I'm running marketing directly through Go, and for those of us who know about local services ads, it's a way to run Google local services ads right through Clio to help potential customers and clients better discover me if they're in their local area. And I can also see my return on investment as well as my spend. So with consistent tracking of lead sources and estimated value, you can start building a picture for how your leads are hearing about and entering your business, which, if you're not currently doing any proactive marketing, can be a good way to see where your opportunities are and how to get started. And B, if you are already investing time or money into lead generation, this helps you understand what's actually working, what to change your strategy for, and what to keep investing in. So that's acquisition. Let's move on to retention or repeat business. I've heard from a lot of firms in the past who, maybe they're about to cancel Grow, or they don't want to get Grow, and they say, I'm not a high volume business. I only get 2 new clients every month. When they say that, I'll ask them, where does your revenue come from? And they'll almost always say it comes from my existing network. It comes from my past clients. I want to bring them back every year. I want to maintain relationships with them over 5-10 years. I get this a lot from business firms, wills and estates. And sometimes these firms refer to these past clients as quote unquote free money. You've built the relationship with them. Theoretically, they should come back if they have an additional need, right? But it's actually not that simple. And ultimately, your past clients will only remember you if you put in an effort to stay top of mind and kind of remind them and build your relationship, even when you're not actively working with them. So to track repeat business, there's one main field to set up. Good news is we just covered it in our previous section, and that is Matter Lead Source. Matter Lead Source is extra important here because when you're talking about bringing a past client back, it doesn't matter how they first heard about you, right? That can be your website, your ad, your whatever. But it's more about what marketing did you recently do to have them remind them of your firm and come back to your firm for additional services. To understand how well your outreach to existing clients has been performing, you can create a Matter revenue report, which looks at how different sources affect Matter creation, conversion, and revenue. So back to the reporting section in Grow, where we just covered lead source revenue report. Setting up a Matter revenue report is very similar. You specify your time frame. You can set up actually a new field here called whether you want to filter by first source, last source, or all sources. And this lets you specify if you want to look at how did the contact or how did the client first hear about you versus what was the most recent marketing touch that caused them to remember your firm. You can filter by specific matter types, all the same good stuff as lead source report. Once you're done, you can generate your report here. And this looks very similar, but the distinction is that instead of showing you all of your lead sources, all the marketing you're doing, all the ways people are hearing about you, this is showing all the matters that were influenced by one of your lead sources, as well as, again, how much revenue was generated. If repeat business is your thing and you want an even more automated way to stay on top of past client outreach, you can do your client nurture from right inside Clio Grow with email marketing, which is a feature that we just released last month. Email marketing is a way to send targeted outreach with past clients specifically right from Grow. We actually pull client data from Clio Manage, so this is not just leads and clients, but it's actually people who might have closed the matter with you last year. You can target them based off of the type of matter that they worked with you on. I only want my trademark registration clients. I only want my estate planning clients. You can pull a list, and you can send them an automation, let's say 1 year after someone has completed a will with you for an estate planning firm. I want to send them a reminder being like, hey, hope it's been well this past year. Really happy you worked with us previously. And if you have any additional changes you need with your will, maybe your life status has changed, your assets have changed, please come back and update your will. It's in your best interest to have your assets protected. Reason why I mention this is because email marketing is connected to a special type of Matter revenue report called the Email Marketing Recipient Report. What this does is that it connects your email campaign. It shows you on the left here everyone you emailed, who opened the email, who clicked on the email, but then it shows who actually created a matter. And when you're looking at your past clients, this is someone who you might have not talked to for a year, 2 years. If you send them an email and then they create a matter, we will attribute that to this campaign, and then you can start tracking how much revenue was generated by this campaign. All right, that was a lot, so let's recap some of what we learned and put some of our learnings into practice. So this is an example Matter revenue report. Each of these rows is a matter that was influenced by one of your marketing sources. In terms of what marketing source, in this case, I'm looking at this. It might be a bit tough to see from all the way back, but it says email, check-in, divorce. So what I'm filtering by is the lead source, email, check-in, divorce. And let's say I'm a firm that just ran a repeat business campaign for divorce clients. This is what the lead source would be called. So I'm looking at all the matters that were recently influenced by my divorce repeat business campaign. And this could be reaching out to divorce clients, seeing if they need divorce or custody modifications. I can see this from this campaign. I've generated 12 hired matters that have totaled over $10,000 in revenue. And of course, as more bills get generated, because these might not all be complete, this number will continue to go up. Understanding retention is important because, as we saw earlier, repeat business is an important and even primary revenue stream for a lot of practice areas. Moreover, I think the great thing about this is that it's utilizing the relationships you've already built, right, through your hard work the first time around to provide a good client experience. It's important not to let these opportunities go untapped and to approach retention just like you would any other marketing endeavor. Okay, the last business source to stay on top of, and one of the ones that is the most ubiquitous across every practice area that I've spoken with is referrals. Much like retention, referrals is all about relationship building, staying top of mind, and that might also feel ambiguous, especially when trying to understand which of these relationships are fruitful and which aren't. So for referrals, there are two fields that I recommend everyone uses to track referrals. Number one is a bit of a new one. This is called referred by in Clio Grow. Whenever you're creating a contact or editing a contact, right, if you have a process where you ask them, like, how did you hear about us? And they say referral, you can ask who referred you. And if that referrer is another contact in Grow, maybe they're a medical professional or past client, you can associate this new lead with the referrer contact. So you can specify which of your Clio contacts, in this case it's Abby, who referred this brand new lead, Mike. The second field here is our bread and butter again, contact lead source. You can also create a referral lead source, so it doesn't matter which contact referred them. This tells us that this person came in just through a referral. If you get a lot of your referrals from organizations and you don't have it as a contact, you can add like a state bar or like another organization as a referral source to Grow as well. And to look at how referrals are performing, you can generate a referral report, again, from the reporting section in Clio Grow. And let's walk through this one. So referral report is at the very end of the list of reports you can generate from Grow. Very straightforward to set up. I believe that as soon as you click on that title, this comes up. What this shows you is all the contacts who've made a referral, how many referrals they've made, and the value of the business that was brought in. So the ways that you can use this report, first of all, for example, this report, I think I have it filtered to everyone who's made a referral this year. Right now it's late October. Holiday season is coming up. I might want to send a thank you note or a holiday card to show them that I appreciate that they've made a referral and that I recognize that they've sent someone my way. Second, I can look at specific referrers to understand who my top referrers are, who are my biggest advocates. I can do this by, for example, taking a look at who's made the most referrals. So in this case, Shannon Bridges made 5 referrals that resulted in $9,000 of hired value to me. Instead of a thank you card, I might want to send Shannon a gift basket. I can also take a look at the referrers that are sending the highest quality, most effective leads. In this case, James Miller only sent over 2 referrals, but I hired both of them. So this might mean that James is a source of really great leads, and it's worth building my relationship with James as well. So investing in your past client professional referrer relationships can be a powerful way to grow your business. And I know that a lot of firms that I speak with, a lot of you guys, are already cognizant of the importance of staying connected through the community, building these relationships. But from the people that I've talked with, oftentimes I hear that it's easy to put this on the back burner. This is not really directly billable work. Writing thank you cards takes time. And keeping track of who to reach out to also takes time. It's kind of laborious. And if you don't know how your efforts are paying off, if you didn't know that Shannon Bridges referred 5 people, James referred 2 people, and I hired both, it's kind of hard to understand where to invest your efforts or which relationships to really prioritize. And that's why reporting on referrals is important, both for your overall revenue growth, your overall revenue trajectory, and then also organizing your efforts. So, in summary, regardless of your growth strategy and what works best for you, reporting is the foundation that can help you get started. Before we wrap up, I'd like to share 3 key takeaways, and if we have a few minutes left, open up the floor for questions. Number 1, good data is the key to reporting success. Your insights are only as strong as your data collection, and consistently tracking fields like lead sources, referred by, estimated value removes blind spots in your growth and makes your reporting all the more insightful. If we think back to any of the reports that I had walked us through, if I didn't have a consistent practice of asking people where you referred, who refers you, or how did you hear about us, that report would show nothing really valuable, and I'd kind of be back to square one. Number two, it's important to understand where your business comes from today. Seeing your highest performing lead sources and then comparing back to your past growth from previous years or benchmarks for industry standards. It can give you a sense of how you're performing and where your next opportunities are. And lastly, it's important to measure what matters. The data you collect is a powerful tool that can supercharge your growth, but you got to know how to ask it the right questions. And hopefully we did some of that today and get you thinking about the types of data that can help lead to the most insightful answers. For example, if you're sending an email campaign, it might be nice to see that 50% or 60% of people opened your email. But then if you remind yourself, what revenue did that generate? Did that actually have a business outcome? If you can't track your marketing efforts all the way to your matters hired, clients hired, revenue generated, ultimately, it's not as powerful for understanding your business growth. And reporting is what will connect those dots. And that's all for today. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask now or catch me later in the product lab. Thanks, everyone.